Are you afraid of being judged by others? Are you self-conscious in everyday social situations? Do you avoid meeting people due to some kind of fear or anxiety? If you are feeling this way for at least 6 months and things have become very difficult for you to continue doing your everyday tasks, then you might have social anxiety disorder. What's up, you guys? This is Aditi. Welcome back to our channel. Today we will see social anxiety disorder, and social anxiety disorder is very different from being shy or being introverted. The major difference is the fear or anxiety. In social anxiety disorder, you tend to have fear of being judged, like people are judging you. You feel that you are going to embarrass yourself, or you feel that people are going to reject you. Whereas these things, this fear or anxiety is not there in introversion or even in shyness. So let's start with looking at the DSM criteria. The first one, which is criteria A, is marked fear or anxiety about one or more social situations in which the individual is exposed to possible scrutiny by others. Examples include social interactions, being observed, and performing in front of others. So let's break it down, okay? So there is fear or anxiety about one or more social situations. You will see this behavior in more than one situation in which the individual is exposed to possible scrutiny by others. So the child the individual tends to feel that they are going to be judged by others, and the people who are actually viewing them are going to think that, oh, this person is very stupid, it's timid, boring, anxious, weak, intimidating even, and unlikable. And include social interactions could be like having a conversation or a meeting unfamiliar people, being observed could be eating or drinking or even using a public washroom when other people are present, performing in front of others like giving a speech. There is a note given which says that if it is for children, if you are diagnosing children with social anxiety, then it happens like they tend to show this symptom or signs in front of peers and not just when they're interacting with adults. Let's look at criteria B. The individual fears that he or she will act in a way or show anxiety symptoms that will be negatively evaluated. That is, will be humiliating or embarrassing, or will lead to rejection or offend others. So if you see, the A part is talking about being scrutinized, like this being judged, and B is talking about embarrassment or rejection, that fear. So that's how the three main fears are divided into criteria A and B. Now, what do they mean by like they will feel humiliated or embarrassed? Like when you tend to feel scared, you can sweat, you can tremble, like your hands start trembling, you can start blushing also because of feeling embarrassed. You could also fumble, like stumble on your words when you are speaking. So if there is someone who has fear of trembling of hands, then that person will not actually eat food or drink or like point, because when they're pointing, they like their hands will shake and then people will sit and they'll wonder like, why is he shaking so much? So they wouldn't want that. Then if the person fears sweating, then they will not shake hands with someone, or they will not eat spicy food, because eating spicy foods, it's so hot that you tend to sweat at times. So they would avoid that. Then if they have fear of blushing, then they will avoid having the spotlight on them. They will avoid having any kind of intimate topics per discussion, and they will also avoid public performances or bright lights, like I said, spotlight unko nahi chahiye could be. Even they would actually avoid urinating or using the public bathroom when there are people present in that bathroom. This is also called as shy bladder syndrome, which is paruresis. Then coming to will lead to rejection is the same thing, or offend others. So there is this one associated feature or the one sign or symptom that you can see in social anxiety disorder individuals is that they tend to avoid, or they may have very minimal eye contact. Okay, because eye contact is kind of like a sign of confidence. Okay, so they may not have or they may have inadequate eye contact. So in Western cultures, having eye contact is seen as being confident. But if they are not having eye contact, then it may be seen as something is off with the person. and they may also may find it rude maybe, and they may be offended by that. Whereas in Eastern cultures or in Indian scenarios, that is not the case, because we have so much about respecting the elders that if you have seen any of the saas bahu wale serials, then you see the bahu is always like नीचे देखती रहती है. She does not have an eye contact with the elders, which is seen as a sign of respect. So that is the difference when it comes to offending others. And also in such situations, like with some disorders, you have to, like, not with some, in most of disorders you do have to take the socio-cultural context as well, like in this situation. Criteria C. The social situations almost always provoke fear or anxiety. Almost always. It can't be like out of 10, 10 times if you're in a social situation, so the 3 बार ही हो रहा है, फिर 6 बार ही हो रहा है. It has to happen almost always. Now, you have to also remember that the fear or anxiety that you tend to feel, it may be different intensity or different intensity पे हो सकती है. So the degree at which you feel the fear or anxiety may be different. The signs and symptoms that you show during in a social situation may also be a little different. Like general signs or symptoms of social anxiety is that you may have trembling of hands, sweating a lot, having a rapid heart rate, minimal eye contact, you will have a rigid body posture, you will have something happening in your stomach, that you feel like you're getting sick and you're going to throw up maybe. You may also have a very soft voice. And there are also other signs also, like you will not try to have the conversation about you will always deviate and deflect it upon to the other person. The other person does the talking a lot more. You would not try to disclose much about yourself. So there are so many signs and symptoms, right? So these signs will not always be seen, या फिर only 2-3 ही दिखेंगे but others won't be seen. So that is also possible, and that should not be the reason why you will not diagnose this disorder. Now, these signs that I mentioned, they were actually for adolescents and adults especially, but in children, these signs will be seen very differently. Like they will be more clinging to the caregiver, to the parent, or whoever is their significant other. They would cry a lot, they will throw a tantrum, they will even freeze at times. So the signs that you see in children and adults will be different. Let's go to criteria D, which is the social situations are avoided or endured with intense fear or anxiety. Now, if you have to go to a situation where you have to interact with people, so you will either endure it with that fear or anxiety, or you will avoid it. Now, this avoiding can be done excessively or it can be done subtly. So, by excessive avoidance, I mean that you will just not go to school so that you don't have to interact with the teacher, you don't have to interact with your peers, or you will not go to the party at all. And subtle could be like you do go and you're kind of enduring, but you will also like avoid eye contact, will sit in a corner with maybe a drink or something. Or if somebody does come and start talking to you, you'll just do a little bit of small talk, maybe the question that I asked you, you'll just answer them, or you will divert the attention to other people. You may have some cards kept, or you'll over prepare some speech or whatever you could speak to others before going to an event. Criteria E. The fear or anxiety is out of proportion, which is something that we have also seen in other anxiety disorders, to the actual threat posed by the social situation and to the socio-cultural context. And this should last for 6 months, which is criteria F. G is obviously that it is causing a lot of clinically significant distress or impairment. Obviously, if you're not actually speaking in school, you are academically getting weaker, you're not speaking with your peers, adults, you are not developing, and you have an impairment in social communication. So all the other areas of functioning are also getting impaired. Then criteria H is the fear, anxiety, or avoidance is not attributable to the physiological effects of a substance or another medical condition. Criteria I is it is not better explained by the symptoms of another mental disorder. So panic disorder. So the difference between panic disorder and social anxiety is that people who are suffering from panic disorder, they do not have the fear of being judged, embarrassment. They fear having a panic attack when they are in a particular place and they may not get help or they may die. That's what they are afraid of, and that's the reason why they may actually avoid going out, let's say, or avoid being in a particular situation. Whereas in social anxiety, that is not the case. They are not afraid of panic attacks, they are afraid of being scrutinized, fear of rejection, fear of embarrassment. Then there is body dysmorphic disorder. So body dysmorphic disorder may you have a cognitive distortion, you have a non-bizarre delusion that don't look a certain way, you look a certain. So there is this uh, distortion with the bodily appearance. Like आपकी नाक is all right, but थोड़ा सा मेरे यहाँ पे bone है, so I will focus here or the spotlight on कि like oh my god मेरी नाक टेढ़ी है, which is not the case. Like, and that's the reason why a person who has body dysmorphic disorder will avoid going to social situations, because they feel that they are going to offend others or they are going to embarrass other people, but it is not because of themselves or they being scrutinized technically. But in social anxiety, they are afraid of being embarrassed or being rejected by other people because of the things that they may do or they may say or the way they may behave, and not because of the bodily appearance. And the last one is autism spectrum disorder that they have said. So autism spectrum is a neurodevelopmental disorder. So it happens since birth only. It's mostly biological. That the main criteria, the A criteria A is about lack in social communication and social interaction. So they also have minimal eye contact. That's one of the similarities that you can see, and they also will avoid going to social situations and interacting with people. Again, that is a similarity. Main difference that in autism they do not have the fear of being rejected वगैरह, उनको कुछ फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता है, whereas that fear anxiety does exist in social anxiety disorder. J is if another medical condition, for example Parkinson's disease, obesity, disfigurement from burns or injuries present, the fear, anxiety or avoidance is clearly unrelated or is excessive. So in Parkinson's, you tend to have tremors or you may not be able to hold things on. So they feel embarrassed because of that. Same thing with obesity, because you're obese, you don't look good or you don't look a certain way. Or even disfigurement, it's because of the way you look or the scars that you may have, etc. So that is the reason why you may actually avoid going to social situations. Specifier, there is just one specifier, which is performance only if the fear is restricted to speaking or performing in public. So this is very much possible in professions where you are a musician, actor, model, even politicians. If you have to like give a lot of public speeches, it is also possible for adolescents who have to give speeches in school or like stand at a podium and address a lot of people, even in companies and stuff. So it is quite possible. So people who have social anxiety specified as performance only, because it's just performance, they will not have a problem, or they will not have social anxiety when it comes to non-performance social situations. So like if it's just a like a party or a get together and stuff, they will not have social anxiety. But this specifier is only given when it is manifesting, like they have to they have to give public presentations and it is quite required. Only then and then we will give this specifier when it comes to schools or office or work or something like that. Some more information about social anxiety disorder. First is anticipatory anxiety is also something that people who have a social anxiety disorder they can experience. So let's say they have to go to an event which is like 1 week from now, then or maybe a couple of weeks from now, they will start exhibiting anxiety symptoms from like for those couple of weeks till they actually have to go and attend. So they will prepare a lot more and stuff like that. Like they will show those anxiety symptoms like a big rapid heart rate and all of that. So that is like, if you can see that, then you will also consider this as a symptom of social anxiety disorder. They tend to they tend to be very inadequately assertive. They speak in a very soft voice, limited or inadequate eye contact, rigid body posture. They tend to not talk about themselves, disclose much about themselves. They will divert the attention to other people and let the other people talk so they don't have to do the talking. um, when it comes to men who have social anxiety, they may kind of not avoid, but they may kind of defer or postpone a marriage. If a woman has social anxiety disorder, then they may prefer being a homemaker than actually work, so that they don't have to interact with a lot of people. Also, sometimes substance use can also go hand in hand, like a comorbidity with social anxiety, because like I said, it's one of the criteria, right, that they have to endure the fear and anxiety. So to endure, what can you do? You have so much of anxiety, you are jittering, you have to calm your nerves down, so you can use a depressant, right? And one depressant that we just have everywhere is alcohol. So just having a little bit or a little more alcohol can calm your nerves down, and that kind of helps. So from that little it becomes a lot more at times, even when you don't have to go anywhere. So people who have social anxiety disorder, they tend to kind of self-medicate, which is very, very common. And that is it for today's video. I hope you learned about social anxiety disorder. If you want to know the causes and treatment for social anxiety, let me know in the comments section. And yeah, I'll see you next Friday with another video on psychology. Bye.